Alexis, man, her teeth are just flying out of her mouth. It just seems they're just like all ready to come out.
They're all in the
all
front,
at once.
She has the best attitude about it. Like she's not insecure, but like she's such a great energy for a kid. Like I bring it up to her and like there's no thought of like when they're gonna grow back or like I'm insecure about it. It's just like I don't know. I love that about her.
She's still like with the no teeth.
So why don't you tell the story about she lost a tooth and like the tooth fairy, right?
Yes. So again, like our kids, hilarious. So Alexis lost her third tooth at the top. They still believe in the tooth fairy because Justin goes through all lengths in the world to make sure that... Actually, I shouldn't say he does. All he does is talk a good game. I go through all the lengths because he keeps talking a good game.
I keep making up stories how they're real. By the way, don't take that away from you guys. Like, let me talk real quick about that. Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, whatever you guys celebrate. Like, I'm very much against parents like, oh, you're lying to your kids. Forget all that stuff. This is the one way kids can stay in their imagination. And because when you take that away from a child, Santa Claus or like the tooth fairy, it's like, it never comes back. It's always gone. This is like the little fantasy that kids get to have, and they only have that. When you get out of that, like it's gone forever. I don't like when parents take things away from their kids because their parents think they shouldn't have that. I think it's a great way to develop your imagination. It's a great way to look forward to things. It's a great way for parents to tell stories about these things, Halloween included, all these things. Whenever they find out Santa Claus doesn't exist, there's never any animosity or any of that stuff. It's always like down the road. I think they will appreciate the fact that we tried to keep it going, and it was our way to provide happiness, more happiness into their life. So That's all I wanted to say. Don't take away Santa Claus, Halloween. No, don't take it away from your kids.
I don't think Halloween has anything to do with that at all.
Whatever you celebrate. So hopefully the girls are still 12 and they're still believing in the tooth fairy. I think I have like maybe one more year and that's it. They're getting too smart.
As I said, you talk a good game, but you do not jump through the hoops to do it. I'm the one getting up literally in the middle of the night, making sure they're asleep. This last time was, I walked in there thinking she was asleep, and she goes, huh? I was like, oh, Alexis, I heard you talking in your sleep. I was just coming to check on you.
But you're trying to get the tooth fairy?
Yes. I was just coming to check on you. She goes, oh, okay.
By the way, I hope the girls don't see this video.
First of all, hope they're not sneaking in the hallway, because they do.
Yeah, I hope they're not here and they don't see this video because of tooth fairy is real. Okay, don't watch this video.
So,
Kids don't watch this.
Was that you?
Shit.
Oh, I'm about to say... I had to go back out, stay in the hallway for 2 minutes and say, okay, she back asleep, and then night crawl into her room, and go around to the other side of her bed to where she wouldn't see me. I just keep my head down, reach for this loud piece of paper, crinkle, 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 as I'm trying to pull it out under her bed. So anyways, this paper was a note that she wrote to the tooth fairy.
Not a note, it was a letter.
It was a letter that she wrote to the tooth fairy. It was front and back of a paper.
Small print, small font, small writing.
And it was so...
I wish you had it. You don't have it, do you?
Of course I have it, not with me. I gotta hide it forever.
Oh, what was the gist of it?
But it was so detailed. Normally they just write, "Dear Tooth Fairy, here's the tooth. Thank you for giving me a gift. Even if you don't, thanks anyway for taking the tooth." Blah 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 whatever. This was asking questions.
Let me go in.
How old are you? And
are you boy or girl?
Are you boy or girl? And how long have you been doing? Just wanted to know about the tooth fairy's career.
Tell the tooth fairy she had a brother. It was 2 pages, front and back, small writing. And in her letter, I'm reading it, and I'm like, there's only 2 mistakes as far as what she wrote. There was only 2 misspellings. Really incredible that she was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I felt the need as the tooth fairy to answer these questions now. Normally I just write, "Dear blah blah Ava or Alexis, thank you so much for the tooth. Hope you have a good whatever." Blah, fold it up, give them the money. I had to I'm like, okay, let me make sure I answer some of these, because she took her time out to write these things.
It took about 45 minutes.
But here's the funny thing. One of the answers, one of the questions was, "How old are you?" And my answers to the question, they still talk about it to this day. Everybody they see, they tell the answers to this question. So I said, 1, how old am I? I'm too old to remember.
Okay. Yeah.
They found that hilarious.
They told me.
They told Imani. They told me, obviously not knowing. Mama, the tooth fairy says she's too old to remember how old she is. Ha 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 ha! I knew she was old. I knew fairies live longer than people. I was just like, that really made their day. Like,
they talked about it the next day, and like they were talking about the letter in detail, and I just had to like corroborate or like pretend I was like, oh, well, really, I didn't know that about the tooth fairy. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was just really just so interesting, and amazing to see Alexis come up with this letter of clear and concise questions. She really thought about what she wanted to know from the tooth fairy. She thought about what she wanted to communicate to the tooth fairy. It was just like really, like, she was like, she wrote a book pretty much. You know, we should sell it.
So
on
because
Amazon.
she believes in the tooth fairy, she's able to express her imagination in a great detailed letter, practice her writing, all that. Great stuff.
We should sell her thing as the guide for writing to the tooth fairy.
Guide for writing to the idiot's guide to tooth fairy writing, something like that. The point of this is just to kind of like give you an update on where our kids are in relation to, as parents, you want them to grow up, but you don't want them to grow up. But when they do grow up, you sit back and hear these things that happen. You're like, wow, they really are growing up.
Yeah, you know they will. You're just never really prepared.
Yeah, and as parents, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing, jump in there with them and have a few things that make you laugh, like the prank we did on Jersey made me laugh. The tooth fairy stuff makes me laugh. You know, it's like these things that if we can have community with our kids and do these things, like I think they're fun times and happy times for the family. If we didn't have that, it'd be pretty dry and stale, and like nobody wants that. Anyhow, guys, thank you for hanging out for another episode of We Love Our Kids But. And we will see you guys, or you'll see us, wherever, YouTube, what. We don't see them. You know.
That never happens.
Unless they're in their comments, and feel free to. But thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. And now.
Oh, wait, before you go,